Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all staying safe and well, and welcome to the Citizen channel. We have a big match preview after the joys in Paris. Yeah, we're going down to London, aren't we? Down to a place called Selhurst. I'll have to admit I've never been, but I believe it's a bit of a pain to get to. But there you go, City at Crystal Palace on the 1st of May 2021, 12:30 p.m. UK time. So there you go on BT Sport. This is going to be showing usual features today as we look forward to this game, including a look at our opponents. An interesting start in 11. I have no idea how well, if I'm going to be well out on this one. I'm not too sure. Lots of changes after the game in Paris. I just feel as though Pep is going to ring the changes for this one, but we'll have a look at that in a bit anyway when we come to it. Of course, the odds on the game, and lots more as we chat through and have a look through and have a look forward to this game. Please, if History Boys, of course, that's it. Yeah, there's a little extra feature this week. No actual History Boys, just something a little bit different, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button. Push the bell notification. All these little City vlogs are coming out. City Past, City Present, City Quizzes, City Book Clubs, all loads of different stuff on there. Loads of things. City very busy at the moment, getting lots of information out there. Obviously to do with our wonderful football club. And if you do check the playlist, you'll see some stuff on film and TV as well. Yeah, I do actually film and TV reviews and etc. information vlogs. So yeah, I'm wearing a bit thin at the moment. All this work, as I say, for every football one I do, I'd try and do a film and TV one as well. But there you go. So if that's of any interest, have a look, or you know somebody might be interested, please point them in my direction. And all comments very, very welcome, obviously, on this match or anything else to do with City. Don't forget my live show on a Monday evening, 5 p.m. UK time. So that's every Monday from now on. And if you need any friends or followers on Facebook and Twitter, there's the links on screen. And if you do that, I do check every 3 or 4 days and follow and friend everyone back on there. And if you don't time for a comment, just give us a thumbs up. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you can do that for me. Yeah, the little scarf in the background there has been up for a couple of vlogs now. It's an actual City stroke England scarf. I mean, obviously it has connotations to Crystal Palace, doesn't it? So I thought, I was going to take it down. I thought, no, I'll leave it up there. I mean, I'll explain what it is just in case. But yeah, it can be classed as a Palace scarf as well, can't it? I never really thought about that, but very interesting anyway. Right, here we go. What have we got with this lot? Right, yeah, a little look at the History Boys. As I said, I've got a little Moments in Time special that's due out. I think it'll be out on the morning of the game. I did it a while ago, and obviously it was to do with going back to 1973 at a meeting with Crystal Palace, but at Main Road, not at Palace's ground. But also looks back at an 11-4 thrashing in the FA Cup back in 1926. I'm not telling you who thrashed who, but that's going to be a little special. Bit of Rodney Marsh involved as well, but obviously it features Palace, so I thought I'd release that rather than a dedicated History Boys feature. So please have a look at that, because it's been there for a few months and just some relevance to it. So please have a look at that if you can. That'd be fantastic. Keep your eyes out for that. So we'll have a little History Boys here in this section. Of course, last time in the Premier League is 19th of October 2019. That's the programme there. A 2-0 win with 2 first half goals from Jesus and Silva. Oh, David Silva, that is. Memories. Overall, at Palace, we've only played 28 times, so at their place in league meetings. This is just league meetings today. We've won 13, drawn 7 and lost 8, so we've got a pretty good record. We don't score lots of goals. We've only scored 36 in those 28 games, and we've let in 28, so we're letting a goal a game. So they're not exactly high-scoring matches, but you can see that from these couple of stats I'm going to give you now. Our biggest wins, were both 3-1. We beat them 3-1 in the 90-91 season. That was on April Fool's Day 1991, thanks to a Niall Quinn 10 out of 10 performance and his first ever senior hat-trick. I think he did it with both feet in his head as well. That perfect hat-trick with left foot, right foot on his head. I might be wrong on that. I'm fairly sure the headlines on the paper said it was a perfect hat-trick, and that's what I understand a perfect hat-trick to be. Steve Coppell, who was manager of Palace at the time. Yeah, remember Steve Coppell? Yeah, well, he's a great manager for City, wasn't he? Sang his praises. And Quinn also hit the post and had a goal disallowed, so it could have been even better. Palace was sat third at the time in the Barclays League Division 1, and they'd actually pulled it back at one stage pulled it back to 3-1 with from Salako in the 64th minute, but City were pretty well worth that 3-1 win in the end. A crowd of just over 18,000, 18,001. And the other 3-1 victories, I say, these are the highest wins, so that's why that goal tally isn't so fantastic. Was in quite recently, 2018-19 on the 14th of April 2019. A Sterling brace in the 15th and 63rd minute put City in control of this one. There was a glimmer of hope for Palace as they pulled one back. I do remember being a bit devastated at the time. It's not that long ago. I can remember things like that, thinking, oh, we're going to panic now, aren't we? With about 10 minutes on the clock. But fortunately, Jesus settled the City fans' nerves and City's nerves with a final minute third goal to make it 3-1. A bit better attendance that day, 25,721. So then our biggest wins and our biggest defeat, yes, you've guessed it, yes, another 3-1. That's so, as I said, they're not exactly goal fest, these games against Palace. We lost 3-1 in 1996-97 in the Nationwide League Division 1. That was the 14th of September 1996. A crowd of 17,638. Scorers for City, obviously, Kavalashvili, however you pronounce it, in the 80th minute. But Palace were 3-0 up at the time through Hopkin, 12 and 50 minutes, and a guy called Anderson, 31 minutes. City that day were Dibble, Brown, Frontcheck, Lomas, Simons, Ingram, Clough, Whitley, Dickoff, Rossler, Kincladze, and the used subs we used Vassell on 60 minutes, Brightwell 45 minutes, and Kavalashvili, who scored the goal, he came on after 70 minutes. So he was a super sub, but not enough, obviously, to drag us back in the game. So there you go. That's a bit of history between us and Palace. As I say, please check out my moments in time if you get a chance as well. It's not specific to the game, so you can watch it any time you want. If you get a few spare 10, 15 minutes, have a look at that as well. Yeah, so how are they doing at the moment? Well, yeah, they sit 13th, 38 points, so almost at safety. It would take a cataclysmic disaster for them to face any sort of point of relegation. I think they just need 4 points now, and obviously that's if the other teams win below them. So no real worries. It's sort of fairly relaxed, to be honest with you. At home, they've won 5, drawn 5 and lost 6. It's just slightly better than their away form. They had good away form last season, I seem to remember. They were thrashed, obviously, recently at home by Chelsea 4-1, so that bodes well. Perhaps we can do a similar damage job on them. And their previous 3 before that was a 1-0 win against West Brom and 2 0-0 board draws against United and Fulham. So again, it's not just us that has trouble scoring at Palace, is it? It's very, very weird that. Very weird our lack of goals at Palace. Well, then again, Chelsea didn't have any trouble knocking 4 past them, did they? I think on the player front, Ferguson, McCarthy and Wickham are all likely to miss Saturday's game with injuries. Interesting. I was just looking at the strike force for the last game, and yeah, you got Zaha, Benteke and Ayew, haven't you, up front? And Benteke's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, I remember watching a couple of fan blogs, Palace fan blogs, probably about 18 months ago now, 12, 18 months, they were talking about using him as a centre-half just to get something out of him because he wasn't doing very well. But it is an interesting front line. It doesn't exactly scare us. I mean, obviously Zaha's always the guy, isn't he? But it's not exactly fearsome, is it? But that doesn't mean they won't work hard, which they usually do with Mr. Hodgson in charge of them, obviously. They did look quite good last Saturday, but this is the game against Leicester. Yeah, the last game against Leicester. But they meekly capitulated in the second half of that one. So that's pretty much been the story of a little bit of a disappointing season on the whole. They've never really got going, and they'll finish probably almost an identical position to what they finished last year, which was 14th. So I can't see them finishing much higher. I mean, might finish 12th or 13th, but 14th looks possible. Yeah, my little thoughts on the game. So that's Palace there. My little thoughts on the games. Of course, we've got Stones suspended, haven't we, for this one? Roy Hodgson, I think this is it, isn't it? I think this is his last season as he nears retirement. Well, I think Palace need a little bit of a change, don't they? I think they need a little bit of a shot in the arm, to be honest with you. That perhaps a new manager will bring. It might have the adverse effect or opposite effect and actually get them relegated or something the next couple of seasons. But they do need something, don't they? And as I say, it's just they just seem to be trundling along reasonably happily. But I don't think the fans are overly happy at the moment. Obviously, they want a little bit more than bottom half of the table trundling along, don't they? I mean, they do have players players on the day that are quite capable. But fortunately, or unfortunately for them, unfortunately for us, they are a bit few and far between. Zaha remains their top scorer, of course, and even Benteke's actually scored a few this season. So he's their second highest scorer, although he's not scored many. But they've only scored 34 goals from 32 games. So in theory, we should have enough. Not to be too worried about Palace. I mean, fingers crossed to say that, because all respect to Palace, they have caused us a few problems, haven't they, at Selhurst Park over the years? And this is certainly no easy ride, especially when we have a look at perhaps what Team Pep will play as well. So we will have to be up for it. But as I say, I don't expect a high-scoring game based on history, but it all depends, I think, really, on how City view this. And I think this has been in line with the last couple of Premier League games we've played, obviously with the Champions League there as well. And obviously we've come out of the Paris game, confidence high. I mean, for me, I'd play our strongest team, but he's not going to do that, is he? Let's be honest about it. I think with you can surely play your strongest team for 3 or 4 games now. Make sure we get through in Europe and just finish this league off, and then you can rest a couple of players before the hopeful Champions League final, if it does happen. But he's probably not going to do that, is he? So I do expect up to 7 or 8 changes for this one. That's what my team I'm going with, which isn't great, but as I said, I'm hoping that there isn't. I'm hoping there's 3 or 4 changes and we'll be all right and we don't pick up any injuries. But obviously people like Gundo, and I'm sure he's still a bit sore from the clattering he got, and other players as well got a little bit of clattering, didn't they, in the Paris Saint-Germain game. City like the Leeds game in a way. The last, obviously, before we got back on track, we'll probably play a team that will give Palace a chance, basically, and that's what they did. We won't have the flow, will we? We won't have the consistency, although we shouldn't take Palace lightly. I mean, I think needs must at the end of the day, and he might just do that. So I've picked an 11. It's an unusual 11. There are 7 changes. I've not included Sterling in it. I've left Sterling on the bench. I just think he needs benching for 2 or 3 or 4 games, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Perhaps bring him on as a sub at some stage. But I wouldn't start him. But I think he will. I think he will start. But I've not put him in my team. So a little bit in my head and a little bit of trying to think into Pep's mind as well. So my team for the Palace game. Anyway, here we go. This is what I've gone for. Let me know what you think. I mean, he's got to play Ederson, as I'm sure he's not going to rest Ederson and play Stefan. I'm sure Ederson is going to play. So Ederson in goal. I think Cancelo will obviously play. He got pulled, didn't he? Obviously in Paris, but I assume he's going to play. And I wouldn't be surprised at an Aki Laporte centre half pairing in the middle, which is certainly better than adequate. There's nothing wrong with that. And will he bring Mendy back? I'll put Mendy in there as a left back now, rather than Zinchenko, who I'm thinking will obviously be saved now for Paris, and obviously Cancelo will be playing on the right rather than the left. So, which is better for him, because I think Walker will be saved for Paris as well, obviously. So that's our back 5: Ederson, Cancelo, Aki, Laporte, Mendy. I think that's all right. I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, the problem is the midfield. You don't want to totally take out all your sort of creative players, do you? I don't think he's going to play KDB. I think he might need a rest as well, to be honest with you. So in my midfield, I've gone Ferner as the holder. I mean, I think that's a shoe-in, surely, for Fernandinho to play. But I've put Bernardo and Foden in there again. But as I said, you could permit if Gundogan's okay after that thing and he's fine and he's firing, I'm sure he'd love to play. I know people like Mahrez are saying they want to play all the time, stuff like that. But I'll put Fernandinho, Bernardo and Foden as the middle 3, as I say. But it could be way out, that one. But I'm only just doing it for creativity and, again, a little bit of legs. But up front, I've gone totally different. Rather than put Sterling, I've given Torres another chance up front with Jesus and Aguero. Again, on the face of it, on paper, not a bad little team. But again, it will lack some of the fluidity. But I'm fairly hopeful Sergio and Jesus will be up for it, buzzing and out to prove something. I mean, these players who are sort of not in that 12 or 13 squad that I mentioned the other day on the review, will be up to try and get into Pep's mind over the next 3 or 4 weeks, won't they? So there you go. I'd seek Sterling on the bench, but they will lack a little bit of fluidity. But I think that 11's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's say okay. It's not our best 11, but and I think it will Crystal Palace will look at that and still be, ooh, that's a good team. But it will give them a bit more of a chance, and that's what I think he will do, because at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but if we get a draw, it's not a total disaster. But if we lose, it's not a total disaster. Well, it will be for me, because I don't like losing. But anyway, I think that team should be quite capable, shouldn't it? As I say, it's the midfield that we're in. Defence is okay. The strike force should be okay if they're firing. So, yeah, it's just that midfield what we're going to play. Because I wouldn't, he could put Zinchenko in there in midfield, but he doesn't like playing in midfield, does he? He doesn't tend to do that. He plays in defensively as a wing back sort of thing. But because obviously I think Zinchenko does play further upfield for his international team and stuff like that. But Pep doesn't really go with that, does it? Anyway, let me know what you think. That's my 11. I said that should be good enough to do it. As I said, I don't expect a high scoring contest by any means. Let me know what you think on that anyway. Match officials. Mr. Davy Coote, referee. I'm not looking forward to that. I don't think he was very impressive last time he did us. His line-os, Mark Perry and Nick Hopton. The fourth official, Stuart Atwell. On VAR, well, he'd be all right sat on his bum. That's probably, he'd probably have to get a reinforced chair. But Jonathan Moss is on VAR. Assistant VAR is Gary Bezic. And yeah, my score prediction, I nearly said 1-0. I thought it might be just a 1-0 and hang on sort of business. But I'll go 2-0 or 2-1. I'll give Palace credit of getting a goal, as I say, because we won't be firing on all cylinders with all the changes we're going to make. So I would say 2-0. I'll put 2-1 as my little proviso. So let me know what you think anyway of this one. As I say, I'm not going for a high scoring game with this, because it may break the trend. We may buck the trend, and we may get a high scoring game, but I'll be very surprised. Right, the odds, please. I don't condone gambling, and be gamble aware, and never ever bet more than you can afford. This is just literally for a bit of fun for me, a bit of interest. I bet with my heart rather than my head. If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't place some of these bets, to be honest with you, because I'm just doing it to have a little bit of interest on the game. Last time out, of course, the P.S.G game, thanks to a correct score prediction of 2-1, 8-1, I made a nice 1.5 point profit, so a nice little profit. So could have been better, but just one of the bets came in. So I'm going to keep it to the minimum this week, because, as I say, I just don't know what team it's going to be, what we're going to get, and how we're going to play, to be honest with you. If it was our best team, yeah, I'd be more confident, but I've just kept not as many bets this week. I've just kept the bets to the minimum, just because of the situation, really. The match odds, yeah, City are 1-3 to win, 4-1 the draw, 10-1 for a Palace win. Both teams to score. Yes is 11-10. No is 4-6. My first bets that I'm interested in, all these have interested me. These are the ones, obviously, that I'll let you know when I'm actually going to have a point on them, and half a point. It might be half a point might be a quid this week. It's sometimes 50p. It might be £2.50, whatever it is. But 2-0 is 6-1, so I'm going to have half a point on that. 2-1 is 9-1, so I'm going to have half a point on that as well. So I'm going to have the two options. If you fancied 1-0, that's 13-2. As I said, that wouldn't surprise me. If you fancied a more comfortable 3-1, as it has been in our best two wins at Palace, yeah, that's 12-1. So that's not a bad price for the standard 3-1. Half time, full time, yeah. City and City's 10-11. Yeah, it's okay. A draw and City's 3-1. I may go for that, but I'll be happy with the 10-11 one. But they're not bad prices. First goal scorer, you got people like Aguero, who, as I said, I think could play. It's 10-3. That's not bad. Jesus, he's 4-1, and Sterling's 5-1 if he does play. So there's three guys who got something to prove if they do play, so they're interesting. Anytime goal scorers, there's no real value in that, to be honest with you. So I'm not, as I said, with that team I've come up with there's no one really stands out on that. Under or over goals, over 2.5, so it's what, 2-1 or 3-0, something like that, is 8-11. But say over 3.5, which I think is very doubtful, and the bookies probably agree with that, is just 7-4. So that's an okay price, but obviously got to be 4 goals in the game. And as I said, I'm not expecting that. It'd be nice if it is, or I'll be happy with a 3-1 or a 4-1 or a 4-2 or whatever it is. But the goal margin's interesting. My last bet of the day is just on the goal margin. To win by 1 goal is 11-4. To win by 2 goals is 3-1. So I'll take a chance on that. I'm going to have a point on 3-1 to win by 2 goals. Well, there you go, man, just for fun bets. If you're going to have a little flutter or something you fancy, just let me know what you're doing, and that'll be great. Right, that's the betting. As I said, please don't ever bet more than you can afford, and when the fun stops, stop and be gamble aware. Yep, Pep Guardiola, of course, will have his pre-match, not post-match. He'll have his post-match afterwards, but he'll have his pre-match press conference on Friday, the 30th of April. So whenever you're watching this, he might have had it, or he might not have. He might not have done it in the afternoon from about 1:30 p.m. UK time. He normally does that. We're Not Really Here show, joining the wonderful, lovely Natalie Pike, will be joined by David James, he's in the studio, and Michael Brown. So that will be starting at approximately 11:30 a.m. UK time in the We're Not Really Here studio. So if that's your bag, and obviously they again go live at half time and have a little 15 minute piece after the game as well. So that's your We're Not Really Here on the City site, so you want to watch that. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining me. Of course, I'll be back with a review of the game. I will try to get it out on Saturday night. Failing that, it will be Sunday, but yeah, we'll do that. And as I said, please check out my City past and present playlist below, including there will be a That Was the Week That Was, which looks at the Carabao Cup final and P.S.G. I think that's probably going to be out on the morning of the game, so you should be able to find that somewhere. But it's a matter of squeezing all these things in now, so keep your eyes out for that. And of course, that's lots of different things. History, boys. Moments in time. Don't forget that Moments in Time. 1973 with a Mr. Rodney Marsh and Crystal Palace, and an interesting look back at a game in 1926. But there you go. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this big match preview of Crystal Palace versus Manchester City. Whatever you're going to do with the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. Until we meet here again on the Citizen channel, you have a flit across, have a look at my film and TV channel, whatever it is. All I ever ask you to do is please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.